What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. We certainly hope that you're having a wonderful day today. On the program, we are going to be discussing the meaning of our tagline, which is Reframe, Regain. I'm Jeremy Miller.
I'm Dallas Terrell.
And we are the Betterment Bros. All right, everybody, as we said at the top of the program, today we're going to talk about the meaning of our slogan, Dal, which is...
Reframe to regain.
That's right. We're talking about...
Reframe dot regain dot.
That's right. We're talking reframing the mind to regain control of your life. Heavy topic, we know, but it's going to be exciting. But Dal, before we even think about getting into the topic of the day...
There's something we must do.
There is, dude, and it's called the 2-minute takeaway.
2-minute takeaway, another tagline of ours, Jeremy.
Yep.
The 2.minute.2minute takeaway life.
Yeah.
It's what we're doing.
.com.
.com. It's what we're doing, dude. I'll start us off on the program. I like when you say on the program.
On the program.
On the program here, folks, is Jerry Miller and me here.
Well, on the program today, guys, we're going to be diving in head first. And what is the other shit I say? As always.
As always, I'm Jerry Miller.
Yeah.
As always, though, we're grateful. We got gratitude to identify and to spread to you beautiful people.
Beautiful people today.
Beautiful, most beautiful people.
Yeah.
And I guess my takeaway, Jerem, is it's kind of funny. It always tends to segue into the topic for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was kind of just a lot of reframing to regaining today for myself. I had a dentist appointment, which honestly, I would say the dentist is a very irrational fear of mine.
Me too, bro.
And, you know, for getting vulnerable, dude, I'm what the dentists call a gagger.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm a gagger, dude.
No kidding.
Anything that comes into the back of my mouth,
Yeah.
I'm gagging.
It's over.
It's over, dude.
Wow.
So when they put all their tools in the back of your mouth, dude, I'm just like, and I'm choking, dude, and I want to throw up, and I'm sweating, dude.
Yeah, oh, man.
They give you that cherry, like, numbing stuff.
I hate that stuff.
Cherry, grape, all that stuff reminds me of, like, taking cough syrup as a kid.
Yeah.
Which made me gag.
Oh, yeah.
So I go into the dentist immediately losing.
Yeah, right.
For the most part.
Right.
So inside my body, it's a physical manifestation of like discomfort.
Yeah.
Long story short, folks, I go to the dentist today. I had a cavity, and
Your tooth hurt?
it didn't hurt. Yeah, I went for a cleaning on Monday, and then like, hey, you got a cavity. We're gonna get it fixed on Wednesday. And I'm like, I wanted to say no. Like, that was my immediate response. Like, I'm not coming.
Right.
And the chick was like, well, if you don't, then you're gonna have to get a root canal. That's like $3,000. I was like, all right, what time Wednesday?
Yeah.
you know. So I show up today, and honestly, I just had to keep reframing what was happening. Like, because my past experience was so negative, like nausea, like throwing up, like lightweight traumatic, dude, where I just feel trapped and I can't swallow. And it's like this terrible like thing to go through. So I just had to kind of get myself to reframing the situation as in like, it's only going to be 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes. Anyone can get through anything for 30 minutes. I'm not going to be able to swallow, but do I need to?
Right.
Like I'm not even there yet.
Yeah.
Let's assess it when I get there.
Right.
You know, I had a couple things I wanted to tell the doctor, like, hey man, no cherry. That shit gets me nauseous from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
Also, let's go with the dry method. I don't need you to hose out my mouth because that makes me want to swallow and gag more.
Right.
So they just hit me with air. They hit me with no cherry. You're going to like this. I was like, hey, so no cherry. And the assistant was like, all we have is cherry. And in my head, I'm like, then we're not doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, it's a done deal. I'm
Right.
about to walk the fuck out of the dentist appointment, dude.
Yeah.
The doctor comes over, Dr. Greg Ocampo, total badass. I love that guy. He's super cool.
Nice.
But anyway, so he comes over. He's like, yeah, we don't need topical. He's like, well, just numb you. And I was like, all right, so you're just going to like fucking shoot a needle into my gum? Like, just, I'm going to feel it? He's like, yeah, pretty much. I was like, I could deal with pain, you know, but
not
I can't
the flavor,
deal with
dude.
cherry, dude.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so he just jabs my gum to hurt like fuck.
Oh, man.
But I wasn't nauseous at all. It was a total breeze, dude. Bruh, took breaths through my nose.
Yeah.
And everything worked out, man.
Wow, dude.
So for me, I'm being dead ass serious. Total win.
Yeah.
Like, I left with a pleasurable experience
At
to
the
now
dentist.
operate off of, instead of a traumatic one. It was like a little feat of mine that I could put in my fucking cookie jar.
Dude, I'm really glad you said all that because, like you, Dallas, I have an extremely irrational fear of the dentist.
Wow.
Like,
a lot of people do, actually.
I do not like the dentist, dude. I do not like I had braces for 10 years, man.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about trauma of the mouth, bro? It's up there.
Yeah, dude.
You know, and
people don't need to have their hands all up in your mouth.
no, dude.
With sharp metal objects and drills.
And I got to go soon, dude.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to channel your win.
Yes.
You know, I don't have the gag thing. It's more just like I worry about the news I'm gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like they're gonna be like, dude, we gotta rip out all your teeth and start over.
Fuck.
Like that's where my mind goes.
That's worst case scenario.
Even though like I don't have like my teeth don't hurt. Like I brush my teeth all the time. Like it's
Totally
all
irrational.
It's irrational by definition, dude.
Wow.
I don't really have a reason, really, to be afraid. Right? Like I would doubt. You want to know how I know it's irrational? I'd rather do a colonoscopy right now, dude. Right now, give me the
Don't even
drink.
put me under,
dude. Give me the drink, flush me out. Let's go, dude. Before I go to the dentist for a cleaning, dude.
Oh wow, that's bad.
That's bad.
That's
dude.
quite the picture you painted, though. Holy shit.
Yeah, dude. And
I'd rather colonoscopy awake.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do it. No, definitely not awake, dude.
Okay.
When you're aware of what's going on.
I mean, just to duel back off what you're saying, I was like, can these motherfuckers put me asleep for this cavity filling? Like, I was playing with the idea straight up.
Dude, I would love it if I could be asleep for all dental work.
God, me too.
If that was the case, dude, even though like anesthesia, like when I come out of it, I get nauseous and I'm all weird. Like,
it's worth not knowing what happened.
I don't want to know, dude. I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
You know, long story short, I had my wisdom teeth taken out and it did not go the way it was supposed to.
Oh boy.
I won't get into detail because like I have a hard time even saying it, but I was awake.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh
Yeah,
boy.
dude. And they didn't come out in one piece. You know what I'm saying? So it just and I watched it happen essentially. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, this is the worst experience of my life.
Yeah.
Like
I'm stuck here on this chair.
I'll take a skateboard to the shin, dude. I'll take a kick to the nuts. I'll take a colonoscopy tomorrow, dude, before I go get my teeth cleaned. You know what I mean?
Oh man. Yeah.
So I'm going to channel
We're not
that.
alone. Got it. Yeah.
I'm going to channel your win, dude.
Yeah. Let me help you through that if I can.
I'm going to go do it, dude.
Yeah, go get it done, man. Teeth cleaning doesn't hurt too bad.
No,
at
that's
all.
all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right.
You got any takeaways, dude, before we go down the rabbit hole?
Fuck, dude. I'm already gone, dude.
Dude.
I'm in Dentistville.
Well, let's reframe, dude. What did you experience this week that you're grateful for?
All right, there we go.
What's the takeaway from this week for you, man?
Takeaway, Dal, is I quit my job, right? And started my new gig.
New gigs.
That's it.
That's a sick takeaway, dude. For most of you who don't know, you've been doing the same job for over a decade.
Yeah, that's right.
That's transition.
That
is crazy.
I've been at the same place for over a decade, and it was time, dude. And you know, for long-time listeners, they all know I got all these side gigs going on. And long story short, the side gig work built up enough to replace the work I was doing.
His side chick became his main chick.
That's right.
For our younger listeners out there.
Is that what they say?
His side chick slid into his DMs.
Yep.
And now they're getting married.
Now we're, dude, with babies on the way. Boom. But that's the takeaway. And I think, you know, as far as the episode of explaining our tagline a little bit, you know, I think that's a good launching point because, I mean, we're talking, and this is going to be a quick episode tonight, you guys, just a heads up. Also, just before we even get into the meat, while I have it on my head, Dal and I are going to do something in April we want y'all to be a part of. We're going to go live on Facebook for like an Ask Us Anything thing. And it'll be awesome.
We hope to see you there.
Yeah, so we'll be announcing on social media as we get closer and closer.
Keep you guys in the loop when it's coming up.
And then you can be literally part of the show because we're going to record it live, and that'll be that week's episode. So anyways, just wanted to throw that out there.
I love that, yeah.
But in terms of Reframe Regain, you know, I couldn't think of a better example than the one I'm currently living.
Mm-hmm.
And if I rewind a year and a half back in my life, right? So we're talking like late 2018, I recognized that I'd been pretty much coasting for years.
Mm-hmm.
Years. And by coasting, I mean I was making progress in certain areas of life, but not really. You know, like...
It looked like progress, but maybe wasn't.
It didn't feel like I was living up to my potential.
Gotcha.
And that was very comfortable. And it was a situation where I would show up, you know, go to work, I'd crush. And then, you know, in my personal life, I got a new relationship, obviously. Like years ago, Mariah and I started dating. So that was like a huge jump, right? Then like we got our own place, this big house, that was a big jump. So there were big jumps happening, but professionally, it was totally stagnant.
Right.
And what I mean by that is I would show up to work and live for the weekend kind of thing, where it's like, yeah, you know, like I like my work. I enjoy the work, but it is work. And I wasn't really motivated, or I wasn't at a place personally where I could see the potential of what my life could actually be. It was always like, yeah, like that's just like people would tell me all the time, Jeremy, dude, like I'm unhappy at my job. Like I wish I could just XYZ. And I'd be like, dude, I mean, everybody needs a job. Like it's just part of life, right? Like we work, you know, and that was like where I was at. And, it became a real internal struggle when it was like, man, like there's got to be more than this, where it's like, I don't want to live for the weekend. I don't want to feel like I'm stuck in this hierarchy of, you know, I basically rent you my time and push progress of something that's not me.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So the better I did, the better the company did, but then it didn't reciprocate to where I then did better as well. And I feel like a lot of listeners can resonate with that. You know, I had a lot of jobs where that's like kind of how it goes, right?
Yeah, you're really pushing others to where they want to go, and it doesn't really serve you
right
as much as it needs to.
Yeah, as much as it needs to. And that's the asterisk, the fine print is that there's nothing wrong with having a job. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, or helping an organization do something great.
No, not at all. It's just for me, I felt like, dude, I'm not doing enough.
Totally.
I know I'm capable of doing more. And
you wanted to.
And I wanted to.
Yeah, and that's why it was a problem.
Exactly.
If you didn't want to, then it's like, cool, right on.
Right on.
And to the listeners, if they don't want to, no big deal. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, we're not trying to shame people, you know, fucking, like you clock in, you clock out. I'm not trying to shame you.
You know, you work for Walmart, like, way to push their agenda, man.
Yeah,
fucking
dude.
losers.
Yeah, we're not out here shaming you guys.
No,
you know,
no,
we
no.
love you guys. But for me, it was, I knew that I needed to do more, but I didn't know how to get my mind right to accept more. And so I listened to this podcast, the MF CEO, you know?
Great fucking podcast. God damn.
It's probably my all-time fave. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, because no other podcast really just slaps you in the face with like your own responsibility, right? And the host, Andy Frisella, he talked about being the discounted version of yourself. He says, you know, everybody listening, right? And he's very abrasive, but
which is why it lands so well.
It lands right with me, dude. But you know, he says, he's like, you know, 90% of you guys are showing up in life as the discounted version of yourself, like Jeremy, but Jeremy on sale, right? And that concept really, really woke me up to the fact that I was doing just enough to float through life without problems. But at the same time, there was no create. There was no expansion because that's uncomfortable. It's really scary. And this has been kind of a recurring theme the last couple episodes, you know. And what changed was this recognition that I have to reframe my mind. I have to reframe the way I look at things. And instead of saying like, well, I'm not there because of my employer. I'm not there because of how little money I make. I'm not there because of how little time I have. I had to say, instead, I'm not there because I'm not trying hard enough. Mm-hmm. I'm not there because of one thing and one thing only, and that's me. And so while that was a very rude awakening, it was very jarring, right? I also knew that unless I did something, nothing would change.
It was the truth.
It was the truth, dude. Yeah. The cold, hard truth.
And it's the truth for everyone for the most part, too.
Absolutely, dude.
You are where you are because you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly. Right.
And you're either okay or not okay with that.
Yep. And there's so many people that are okay with that I encourage to be okay with that. Mm-hmm. You know, I just knew, like, for me, like, you know, my mom used to always tell me, like, you know, one day you'll live up to your potential, right? Because what was happening is I'd get great test scores in school, but I had like C's, D's, and F's because I didn't try. I didn't care. And that mentality was really mirrored in my professional life.
Right.
Of like, I'm doing enough to get a paycheck so that I can pay my bills because that's what you're supposed to do.
And I'm doing good while I'm there.
Yeah, and I'm doing good work. And I enjoyed the work. It just no longer served me the way I needed it to. So the reframe came from that podcast, which I highly recommend, and also a recognition that the time I had, I looked at my life week to week. Right. I looked at it at the time from which I got home to when I went to sleep, and then Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. That's how I looked at my life. What I failed to realize was that rather than, you know, trying to fill my extra time with stuff I want to do, I need to fill my time with stuff that I want to do that also propels me forward, because in living week to week, I coasted for 5 years.
Right.
If I lived more with my future in mind while not giving up the moment, but just acknowledging, like, Jeremy, dude, unless you do something now, 5 years from now, you'll be in the same spot. Mm-hmm. And I cultivated this sense of urgency of like, I can't do that right now. I can't go out and, you know, just chill with my friends, even though that's amazing. I'm not saying that's bad, but right now I have to do this. I have to do it right now, because if I don't do it right now, I won't do it.
Never will, yeah.
And I never will. And so I gave up my nights, I gave up my weekends, you know, and just worked.
Got to work.
But the work I was doing was stuff I really genuinely enjoyed. And the reframe that took place in my mind was, you need to create the life you want, and that's only going to happen if you do this stuff right now. And then you do it again tomorrow and again the next day. Mm-hmm. And that reframe, right, of my mind enabled me to regain control of my life.
Yeah.
And really
the life you wanted.
And create what I wanted, you know? So it's like, yeah, my new stuff, I still work, but I filled my schedule with stuff I love doing and dropped out all the stuff I didn't.
Love that.
Had it not been for that reframe, I would still be exactly where I was a year ago, 5 years ago.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's huge, dude. And it's kind of funny because it makes me think of a reframe in my life that served me, but in more of the opposite, where it's like, what do I hate?
Right.
You know, and it was the gym. Not that I hated the gym, but in the gym, in the fitness, the reframe for me was that I was limited to my experience in the gym. Every day I go to the gym and I do chest and I do deadlifts and I do bench press.
Right.
And I do tricep pull downs. And, you know, we kind of talked about it in the episode with Lindsay where I was a total bro lifter. Yeah. But I only did what I wanted.
Right.
And the truth in the matter was that I wasn't healthy. My lungs were not, my aerobic system was not doing well. I was neglecting legs and core and all the stuff, right, that I hated to do. So, you know, Lindsay was a huge part of reframing how much I'm missing out on or how healthy I could be.
Right.
But it was kind of the opposite of you, where I started doubling down on all the things that I hated.
Right.
so that I had less weaknesses. It's kind of
Sure.
like very David Goggins-y, where
Right.
he's like, what do I fucking hate? I hate exercising and I hate swimming. I'm going to go be a Navy SEAL.
Right.
Because I don't want to have those weaknesses anymore. I don't
Yep.
want to be limited by the things that I can't do.
Right.
So one thing that I observe now as a CrossFit coach, CrossFit trainer, as someone that does it a lot, is a lot of people, they see the things that they hate and they don't show up for those workouts, or
Right.
they avoid them, or they're like, fuck, I won't do that, or I'm not going to push it on that.
Right.
And so me now with almost 2.5 years of experience of like, now I see the assault bike, I see fucking a 5K run, I see some overhead squats, I see some crazy GHD like core like workouts. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like the Reframe has been so consistent where I feel excitement and like this like drive to do the things that I hate.
The empowerment.
Of it. It's like you're killing your own weaknesses by doing the things that you hate.
Right.
So that Reframe really helped me in a physical sense,
For
in
sure.
like ridding weakness, and expanding the comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of funny because it's the opposite of you, where you're like doubled down on the things that you love so you could have the life that you wanted.
Right.
Where I doubled down on the things that I hated in just the physical fitness realm. You know, I didn't double down on drugs and bad relationships and gambling, you know.
Yeah.
But in the physical fitness sense, that's what really served me.
Well,
And the Reframe was fucking huge.
yeah, huge. And that makes me think too of like, you know, a realization I had while you were talking is that I actually like, it's funny because, you know, before I came to California and before this job I had for 10 years, you know, I did not have a very good work ethic, right? Like I didn't want to work any harder than I had to.
Totally.
Right. So every job I'd give 30%. I gave enough to get paid and not get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And one realization I had while you were talking about the CrossFit is like, I do like, until this Reframe about a year ago, I didn't like working.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a social guy. That's why this job worked out so well for me. I'd rather just be hanging out.
Totally.
You know, creating. I'm a creative, right? So I'd much rather sit down and have a podcast or a conversation than I would like to sit at a desk and grind out some work, right? And so in a sense, like I forced myself to do that work. Like I can't tell you how many times the thought of like, just do it tomorrow, dude. Like it's 9:30, you worked all day. This can wait until tomorrow. That would happen to me every single day.
Oh, I bet.
And every single day when that thought came into my head, I would tell myself, if you push this off until tomorrow, you are deeming yourself a failure.
Yep.
You're basically, I would tell myself, like, you guys know my narrative, right? It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
But like, I would tell myself, like, dude, you pushing it off till tomorrow is exactly why you suck and why you're here, you know?
I knew you were going to go to like, if you don't do this, you'll be a piece of shit forever. I knew that was the outcome.
That's it, bro. That's it. That's the
You
narrative.
don't do this, you'll be a fucking ugly bum your whole life.
Yeah, dude. But in the gym, same thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, but I mean, not totally the same because I really enjoy working out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really interesting to me, like how I was listening to podcasts like this conversation of like, dude, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think to myself, I can't. Like, I don't know how. I don't know how to just go
Create
do
something else.
Yeah. And like, I was so limited in my belief of like, dude, I've been at the same place for so long. I'm so comfortable and it's so scary out there. Like I hadn't had a job interview, Dal, in 15 years, you know?
Right.
And it's like, I thought to myself like, oh my God, dude, you don't know how to interview anymore. Right. And people like tell you like, oh dude, you got to like do interviews so you stay good at it and blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, fuck, I don't know how to interview.
Yeah.
Right. I failed to remember that like I am just good in conversation. So you don't really need to know how to quote unquote interview.
You're responding to questions.
Yeah. You're just like, hey, let's just talk about like the potential here. But you build it up in your head so much.
Yep.
And I was so scared, dude. And the Reframe was run towards that. You don't want to, like the things you don't want to do.
Yep.
I ran towards, dude. I'm like, I don't want to do this right now. Okay, well, I guess I'll just do it then.
Yeah. Same
Right.
with me, right? Same similarity right there.
Yeah, with the CrossFit, right?
Yeah. Like, what are you running from?
Yeah, and that reframe of just looking at the things you hate the most as things, as a signal of like, why do you hate this so much?
Right.
And not even so much why, I guess.
There's like that. Why is there resistance? What's pushing you away from it?
Yeah. What's the resistance, right? And what if you embraced that and allowed that to exist while knowing that that's good that you feel that? It's expanding the comfort zone.
Of
right?
course.
And that's a lot of what we talked about with Jerry and even with Sophie, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just crazy to me that like it's happening for us both. And I don't know if we necessarily like recognize that because we're in it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I think like, you know, with the podcast and with our tagline, the motivation was really, you know, our goal is to offer insight that nudges that reframe in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, like maybe we break down reframe to regain just like in a simpler way. Cause it's kind of like you were saying, you're like, I want to reframe my life. I want to reframe the way that I think. I want to think differently, but I only think one way.
Right.
So it's like, you know, you think of reframing, it's like you're putting something up in a different way. You're looking at something different so that you can get a different result or see a better answer or a different answer.
Yep.
So I think a lot of the times there's like external things that help you reframe because it's kind of like we're creatures of habits. Like we think the way that we think and we look at things the way that we do and we do the things that we do.
Right.
So what like external factors can we bring in to acknowledge we need to see something different?
Right.
And in your case and in my case, it was somebody or someone saying something. Like we had to kind of outsource it.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a pro tip on reframing, right? If you're incapable of doing it yourself or you're finding poor results, who has what you have?
Right.
Who has what you want?
Right.
And how'd they get it?
Yep.
What can they help you to see differently? And I think that's where other people really come and play a big role
For sure.
in the reframe.
Yep.
And that's kind of what you're saying we want to be for the audience.
Yeah, exactly. And to be able to, I think like my pro tip, if we're, you know, kind of coming to a close here with the pro tips, I think my pro tip would be just to gently remind yourself that at any moment you can change your mind.
Yep.
Right? Any moment.
It's possible.
Some moments are much harder than other moments. But for me, like, I knew that I had to muster up some courage. And that's really difficult. You're talking 10 years at one place, man. It was like, oh my God, like, how am I going to do it? Giving notice, dude, I had so much anxiety. And I just told myself, like, you know, and then I would get cold feet is what I'm trying to say. I'm like,
Absolutely.
I'm about to tap out. Like, maybe I'll just stay.
It's too much. Yeah.
It almost happened, dude, like a few times where it was like, man, like I'm looking at Mariah and my friends and stuff. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do it, you know? And I said that, I put that out there so that they would argue with me. Right. And
to help you reframe it again.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And that's that outsourcing you're talking about. The key point for me was being malleable enough mentally to accept the arguments, right? To be able to say, like, I'm willing to change my mind. I'm willing to have my mind changed because my thinking, my habits mentally, which is kind of what we talked about with Lindsay and something I want to get into on another episode, perhaps.
Absolutely. Me too.
But my mental routine, that mental autopilot, you know, I don't know about you guys. I mean, this might be nuts, but I think very habitually. I think in patterns. The way I respond to things is almost always the same. The way I think about things is almost always the same. You know, what would it look like if I considered something different? What would it look like? How, like, where would I be if all of my thinking at one point I said, okay, that's my take. What if I looked at it like this though? Where would I be, you know? Some of that would be really bad, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think just my pro tip is acknowledging the fact that you're mentally tough enough to be able to see a situation and mentally respond to it right away, and then kind of take a step back and say, okay, what would it be like if I looked at it from over here? What could I gain from that reframe? And that's the whole tagline of the show.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said, dude. Yeah. I think those are two, definitely two really solid, relatable pro tips on how to reframe.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think it's just like, how is reframing what you're thinking or doing serving you? Because there's people that reframe terribly.
Oh, for sure.
What if this plane crashed?
Right.
Like, okay, you just reframed a total normal thing into like the worst thing.
Right.
So if you can reframe something terribly, you also have the power to reframe something beautifully.
Yeah, dude.
So I think what you're saying is having the like elasticness.
Elasticity.
I knew I was going to fuck it up, so
That's
I
all
just
right.
went confident with the ness.
Okay, I like it.
The elasticness, the quality of being elastic.
Yeah.
That's important.
It is.
And like you said, right, it's never too late to change.
That's right.
You just tell yourself it is.
Yep.
Because you're used to being the way that you are.
Yeah, that's right.
And those are the results you hate.
Yep.
Or dislike.
Yep.
Or want to change.
Yep.
So fuck.
Get out of your own way, guys.
Get out of your own way. When they say change is possible once you believe it's possible,
Yep.
then you just have to stay inspired enough to proceed.
Yep.
Which is exactly what you said.
Yeah, and the discipline, dude.
You wanted to change, but once you believed it was possible,
Yep.
then you just had to keep doing the
Chipping
next
away.
right action.
Yep.
Like you were saying with the 9:30 shit. It's 9:30. I worked all day. Let's keep working.
Let's just chip away, dude.
And then fucking a year of that later, here you are now. Just like,
dude.
fuck, man, it paid off.
Right. A year later at CrossFit and Dal, you got some killer abs, bro.
The abs are here, dude. And the legs are fucking strong.
Yeah.
Way stronger than, it's just, they're where I wanted it to be.
Yeah, man.
But you know what? It took some fucking work and it took
it.
time. And it wasn't a 6-month thing. It was a year thing.
That's right.
It's going to take some time.
It's going to take time, you guys. And check this out. Dallas and I love being challenged with how to reframe things. If you're in a situation and you're like, there's no way to put a spin on this, let's maybe give us the challenge.
Yeah.
Let us take it on with you. Okay. And so if you're in a situation like that, if you're in any situation that you need some advice on, you can write us at bettermentbros@gmail.com. You find us on the social. We're at Betterment Bros. We're super excited for that live Q&A, by the way.
Super excited.
We might try and get to it a little sooner maybe than April.
Yeah, maybe save your reframes for that.
Yeah, that's a good idea, dude. Yeah, man. We're going to talk about that off the air and see if we can get it to you guys a little sooner. That being said, we got a very special guest at the end of the month to be announced later. But be excited because I am literally on the fucking moon about this. That being said, and for whatever reason you want to fucking visit us on the web, go to www.betterment-bros.com. We're in the middle of a little website makeover, guys. So if you want to see this piece of shit, now is the time. Okay. Now's the time because that thing is going away soon, dude. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Get out there and reframe, regain, get out of your own way. And let's create a beautiful life together, huh?
Let's do it.
Boom. I'm Jeremy Miller.
I'm Dallas Terrell.
Take it easy.
Boom.
Damn, that was a hot take, dude. Dang.
Damn, dude.
I don't know. Maybe it just felt right,
It did. It came off right, bro.
Yeah, maybe it was that nanner, dude.
One bite nanner.
You just get a banana in you and fucking
Just
time to party, dude.
One take nanners, dude.
Yeah, I like that. All right.